Hey there, everyone. Just hoping that the Brewers, after the Tuesday victory, they were going to come back behind Corbin Burns, take 2 or 3 in St. Louis, build that cushion up to 8.5 over St. Louis. But what a lousy night offensively. We're going to get into that, update Wade Miley, tell you about the way Burns pitches. The Brewers made a minor move, and where do the Brewers go from here? They're heading to Tampa coming up on Friday. All that and more coming up next year on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, everyone. The Brewers were outscored in this series against St. Louis 23-4. They took Tuesday's game. Thank God they didn't get swept, but they're back to their offensive funk once again. Their offensive freeze where, they can't get anything started, stranding guys all over the base, all over the plate. Even then, when they try to get a little rally going, nothing is happening. Very disappointing. A 3-0 loss to St. Louis on Wednesday night. The Cardinals take 2 or 3. Hi, everybody. I'm Chuck Freeman. Welcome to Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. You everydayers out there. Those of you who follow us every day, appreciate it. You're just joining us. Hey, become an everydayer. Love to have you aboard. Follow us on Google, on Spotify, on Apple. That's where we drop just a few of the places where we drop the podcast. There's many platforms out there, but those are some of the major ones. Follow us because we are dropping podcasts after every Brewer game. Hey, we're your team every day. That's our motto here on Locked On. And we are there for you every day after every Brewer game. So good to have you along. And of course, on YouTube, you get the video version of it. Hit the subscribe there, hit the little bell there. That's going to alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. I've been covering the Brewers for over 40 years. A lot of history with me covering the team for AP Radio, morning sports anchor at 1310 WIBA in Madison. Love my jobs, love covering the team, and they are my number one team as a fan to watch. Yes. My favorite professional sports team is the Milwaukee Brewers, and I assume they're one of your favorites too, because that's why you're watching us here tonight. So, and I get passionate about my team. I do. I was so excited after the victory last night, but you know what's often the case with the Milwaukee Brewers is they build you up and you buy in, and then they have a way of just letting you down. And that was the case tonight. No offense to speak of. 3-0 loss to the Cardinals. Outscored 23-4 in this series. Now, the schedule pitcher was supposed to be Adam Wainwright. And about mid-afternoon, when I heard that Wainwright was going to be pushed back a day and he was not going to start, I thought, great. Don't have to deal with Adam Wainwright. ERA lifetime against the Brewers under 3. He's 21-14 lifetime versus the Brewers. Don't have to face Adam Wainwright. Great. Who's pitching? Michael Liberatore. Never heard of him. Great. I know there's a little adage with Brewer fans that these are the kind of guys that do the Brewers in, people that are just kind of throwing in there, and before you know it, they're pitching 5 shutout innings. Such was the case with Michael Liberatore. Oh, bad that he was a left-hander. The Brewers, the worst hitting team in baseball against left-handers. And 5 innings for Liberatore against the Brewers, 6 strikeouts in his season debut. A guy who was not expecting to pitch comes in, gets the job done, outduels Corbin Burns. Now, this was not Burnsy's fault here. Burnsy dropped the 4-3, gave him a 2-run home run to Paul DeYoung. Quality start. I'll take that from Corbin Burns. How about, as I've always say, let's not take these great starters for granted. Let's score them with some runs. But when you score 4 runs in a 3-game series against St. Louis, you're not going to win a hell of a lot of games against anybody. And such was the case. Disappointing. Thought hopefully, maybe building on that game Tuesday, kickstart the offense. But please let this not be a start of the Brewers going through one of these teams, or one of these stretches where they can't get out of their own way offensively. We've been through that already. Let's not go down that road. I'm tired of hearing how there's peaks and valleys in a baseball season, and this and this and this. We're going through ups and downs and ups and downs. No, good teams will find some more consistency. All right. And do you ever say to yourself, okay, the Brewers are 24 24-19. 24-19. With that lineup they threw out there, how are they in first place? I mean, I'm not ripping on them, but I am exactly, because you look at that lineup. If they're in first place, how bad are the rest of the teams in this division? I mean, the lineup that the Brewers threw out there, and I know they've gone through some injuries. They've gone through some injuries. Okay. They've had to tape a few things together. They've had starters go down. They've had bullpen guys go down. They've had, for a team that has a small margin of error, always have, okay, this team has always have had, Brewer teams have always had a small margin of error. And right now, that small margin of error just got a little smaller because the Brewers have had some injuries. But that lineup they tossed out there tonight, thank God for like one or two of those guys in the lineup. Owen Miller specifically, who's been the most consistent hitter on the Brewer lineup all year long, whose numbers, I'm going to read you a little bit later on, stack up through 85 at-bats as among the best in Brewers history. We'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. But the Brewers, DeYoung hit the 2-run home run, 3-0, and that was the game, set, and match right there. Not a lot of offense, 4 of 19 with runners in scoring position. There was a controversial potential double play turn. Counsel said that the runner for the Cardinals was legal, so I'm going to go with what Counsel had to say there. I know a lot of people were angry, but the St. Louis Cardinals do get every break, don't they? I mean, they get every break. Last night, that ball knuckles by Weimer in center field with 2 outs. Just magically, the ghost of Stan Musial gets in Weimer's way, and that ball drifts away from him. Now, thank God the Brewers ended up winning the game, but boy, the Cardinals, luckiest team in sports. No question about it. They seem to catch every break where the Brewers never get a break. There's a marginal call, never seems to go our way. And maybe because I've been watching this team our entire life, but man, we never seem to catch any breaks. But all right, Brewers do lose. We got to look ahead, though. We'll talk about Wade Miley. We'll get to the lineup. We'll tell you about the lineup coming up and where Owen Miller ranks as among the best starts hitting in Brewer history. Amazing. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Show is brought to you in part by a new sponsor of ours. I just got the other day my new Birddogs in shorts, pants that I wore golfing, and they are flexible and they are good. They give me the freedom to wear one pair of shorts or pants on a golf course. I could wear these to a meeting. I could wear these for going out with friends, hanging out with Shannon, whatever. These pants are just so good, and the shorts just in time for the summer season. Look them up on their website. And I'm telling you, if they are not the most comfortable pair of pants and shorts, then I don't know what to say. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. And when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti style tumbler. We got that in the mail too. That's nifty. Nice $20 tumbler they threw in there. That was real good. But I'll tell you what, the bottom line is the clothes they put out. The pants, the shorts, these Birddogs are just really, really good. I appreciate them coming along, being a sponsor here on Locked On Brewers and sending me their pants and their shorts to try on. I wore the pants to the golf course yesterday and they stretched. They feel good because when you're on the golf course and maybe you put a couple of extra pounds, went through that drive-through window a few extra times like I did in the wintertime, well, you need some stretchy pants, and these will stretch out for a little bit and give you some comfort, and comfort in pants is what you need. Birddog. Again, go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. Enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, and they'll throw in a free tumbler, a custom tumbler, Yeti-style tumbler, nonetheless. All right, all those things I told you we're going to talk about, including Wade Miley, up next here on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. I'm Chuck Freeman, your host. I'm going to take a quick drink here. Yeah, there we go. Good old Diet Mountain Dew. Late night on a Wednesday night. That sure is going to keep me up for a little bit. The Brewers will play again, coming up on Friday night. No game on Thursday. We're going to do a mailbag on the show for Thursday's day off. And what I want you to do is please message me on Twitter. Give me a note on Twitter. How about a message here on YouTube? We're going to answer all your questions. Maybe you want to know something about Brewer history, this current team, anything Milwaukee Brewers. I could tell you about it because I cover this team like a glove, been around them forever. Anything you want to know about the Milwaukee Brewers, we're going to take your questions coming up on a mailbag off day for the Brewers coming up on, we're going to cut the show Thursday night and then drop it on Friday morning. So the Brewers next game will be coming up on Friday when they take on Tampa. Little earlier start for Friday's game, 5:40 with the first pitch from Tampa. Adrian Hauser and Shane McClanahan will meet on the mound in the first of a 3-game series against the best team in baseball. Catch every pitch of Brewers hometown broadcast, Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Brewers. And thank you all you everydayers out there. Thanks for finding us on your podcast platforms out there. And also following us on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell button. We are your team every day. Follow me on Twitter as well, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. All right, let's get to the box score. So I was telling you, this was not a very good lineup the Brewers ran out there. I must face it, the Brewers lineup, again, I don't want to trash them, but the Brewers just don't have a very good lineup they're throwing out there every day. They rely on their pitching staff, but you got to be able to score a couple of runs to win a game once in a while. All right. You know, the division is there for the taking, but God, these offensive freezes the Brewers just go through just frustrates me. And I know it does you guys too. I know it does. Let's get to the lineup. Owen Miller led off. Now, Owen is a guy I can't complain about because right now he's putting himself among the best starts in Brewer history. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit. Owen Miller, 3 for 4 to raise that batting average to .350. Now, when this season started out, we were doing our season preview. Owen Miller's name did not come to the top of the list of keys for the Brewers this season. I did not say, okay, Owen Miller is going to have a solid year for the Brewers to be in first place. He was a utility guy, a guy you were going to throw in there every once in a while and get some production out of him. You know, they picked him up from Cleveland. Nice stories from Wisconsin, but he has been great. Now you got to find a spot to put him in the lineup every day because he's that good. Now he took Yelich's spot in left field. I know some of you are glad about that, but, you know, the Brewers do need Yelich on this team and need for him to pick up where he did the other day. Now, Yelich hurt his back the other day by, remember Sunday when he circled the bases on the Keystone Cops plays by the Kansas City Royals, where the Royals were just throwing the ball all around and the Brewers were able to get a run after Yelich stole second, went to third, and then came home and score. That play, yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. But Yelich hurt his back on that play. And, you know, he's had a back injury. He's been dealing with back problems for a while now, but he was not healthy enough to be in there tonight. Owen Miller, though, gave them a good night, 3 for 4. This lineup, let me tell you, before I read the numbers here, here's what the Brewers went through. Owen Miller led off. Contreras was second. Willie Adames third. Darren Ruff fourth. Now, Darren Ruff, God love the guy. He put up some great numbers in San Francisco. But we're relying on a guy who was visiting his mother the other day in Omaha, Nebraska, to come here off the couch and bat cleanup on a first-place team. That's where we are because the Brewers can't hit lefties. Darren Ruff went 0 for 2. Okay. Bat at cleanup. Man, this is where the Brewers are, though, again. Tellez came in, pinch hit for Ruff, went 0 for 2. When you're pinch hitting for your cleanup guy, that tells you your lineup is just not very good. Brian Anderson was 5th in the lineup. Tyrone Taylor was 6th. Victor Caratini 7th. Joey Weimer was 8th, and Bryce Terang was 9th. Miller went 3 for 4, as I mentioned. Contreras took it 0 for 5. Willie Adames 0 for 4. Had the RBIs last night, but 2 strikeouts, looked terrible, batting .210. I saw about Willie with that contract extension. $100 million? I don't know. I'm very leery to do that. And I know he had a down season last year. I'd like to resign Willie. I just don't like him at $100 million. I don't. Not at all. We'll talk about that, I guess, tomorrow, too, on when I do the mailbag. See what you have to say about that. Darren Ruff, 0 for 2. Brian Anderson, 0 for 2. Telez did pinch it for Ruff. He went 0 for 2 in a strikeout. Tyrone Taylor went 2 for 3. Victor Caratini, 1 for 4. Weimer, 0 for 2. Winker pinch hit, went 1 for 1. And Terang went 0 for 4. Burns tonight, 8 hits, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 Ks. You'll take that. You like to hit the total to be down a little bit more than it was, but hey, you'll take 6 innings. Get him some offensive support. Now, Trevor McGill, the guy who did not want to pitch on Tuesday night when they had Williams up in the bullpen, and thank God they went to Williams. But McGill looked pretty good, but I'm not ready to put him in the high leverage spots by any means right now. But McGill came on, looked real good. The big 6'8" kid, 2 strikeouts in 1 innings pitch. Jake Cousins back on that team. We'll tell you about that here in a little bit as well. He went 1 inning, and he's been pretty good. Zeros across the board. That's the way. That lineup is not a championship level lineup at all. And I can see where they get shut out. I can see where they're not going to put up many runs. But this team was constructed in the offseason, and this is a bargain basement lineup, the blue light special. That's what the Brewers are down to. This is where we are. And hoping that some of these guys overperform. All right, let's tell you about the injury update. Wade Miley, he's going to be out, looks like a couple of weeks with the lat strain. He's going to get a couple of different opinions on that, according to Craig Counsell. They'll have more news, according to Counsell, this weekend on just how long Miley will be out. But the feeling is probably a couple of weeks. But when you're going out and getting multiple opinions, that doesn't give me a very good feeling at all about Wade Miley. Now, possible candidates to replace Miley in the rotation: Colin Ray, Jansen Junk. I'm good with not having Jansen Junk replace him. Colin Ray, we'll take him short term. The Brewers did call up Jake Cousins, as I read to you in the box score, but he's only short term for until it's Miley's turn in the rotation. So they called up Cousins, and that's a smart move to give you some innings right here if you need them out of the bullpen. No need to call up that starter for Miley's spot just yet. No need to have Ray up here taking up a roster spot if you're not going to pitch him to later on in the weekend. So Jake Cousins, whose numbers have been fine. Somebody tweeted me the other day, said, why is Jake Cousins always sent down to the minors? 28 years old. A guy they don't really want to use in high leverage spots. And I just think a guy who they look at as just another guy. Nothing special about Jake Cousins. My gut feeling is if they keep sending him down and there's never an established spot on this roster, they don't think that there's a real big future for Jake Cousins long term. But for tonight, throw him in a 3-0 lead or 3-0 deficit, he'll be fine. Throwing him one of those situations, that'll be great. The Brewers did trade Lucas Erceg. God, I feel like Lucas Erceg has been in the organization for 20 years. An infielder turned pitcher. They traded him to Oakland for cash. He was with AAA. But Lucas Erceg was one of their promising prospects, infielder a few years ago. Never materialized. They converted him to a pitcher, and he's tried to make his way to the major leagues by that. But maybe with Oakland, but he's not going to do it with the Milwaukee Brewers because they traded him for cash. On Twitter, there's a number of real good bloggers out there, guys who put out tweets, information. There's a number of them out there that I follow. One of them is the Barrel Milwaukee on Twitter, the Barrel Milwaukee. He put something out there, the best batting averages on the Brewers with at least 85 at-bats in Brewer history. Paul Molitor batted .353 in 1987. Cecil Cooper in 1980 batted .352. And Molitor, that 1987, of course, that was the year that he had the hitting streak in 39 straight games. I know it seems like a long time ago, 36 years ago, but it seems like yesterday to me when I was covering that. But Cooper's at 352, second best batting average in Brewer history. And Owen Miller at 350 right now through 85 games has the third highest average through 85 at-bats. The third best batting average for 85 at-bats in Brewer history. Now, a long way to go. But if you like the sample size so far, I mean, is he going to hit 300 when the season's over? I don't know. But he's one of the guys who's just trying to keep them afloat offensively. Fourth, by the way, on this list that was put up by the Barrel Milwaukee, Ryan Braun batted 332 in 2011. So the four highest averages, Molitor 353, Cooper 352, Owen Miller's at 350 through 85 at-bats, and Braun at 332. Tampa coming up on Friday for this team. We'll talk about that coming up next, and we'll read some of your tweets as well when we come back here on Locked On Brewers. I'm Chuck Freeman, one of our new sponsors. Sorare. Sorare is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace, transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from all across 30 teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, Sorare managers truly own their own fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic awards. Win or lose, you still own your own cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, and you collect increasingly powerful cards with a chance to win some big-time prizes. Now, MLB game weeks for Sorare happen twice weekly, span of a 3 or 4 day cycle. At the end of the game week, Sorare managers who rank near or at the top of their leaderboards get game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, VIP experience. So you got to play this game. Head to Sorare, SORARE.com, draft your team of free players, set your lineup, start competing today to win epic awards. Again, that's Sorare, SORARE.com/lockdown to start playing today. Sorare.com, and you're going to find out how fantastic of a game that is. Many guys on Locked On podcasts on the Locked On Network are playing this and enjoying it every day, and you get to compete against us, and you get to compete against and others. It's a fantastic new way, and a terrific sponsor here on the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, a day off Thursday. Brewers had last Thursday off as well. Another Thursday. We're going to be taking your questions coming up starting tonight. You can put them right there. You can lay them right there for me, right on YouTube. You can send it. I was going to say you could fax them to me, but this is at 1995. Yeah, back in sports radio days, the early days of sports radio, we used to say fax your questions in or whatever, and we'd take the fax machine, go off, and the secretary would run the faxes, and they'd be all weird. Okay, it'd be all curlied up and all that, and you'd have to straighten them out, and sometimes the fax machine would run out of paper. I don't think anybody has a fax machine anymore. But so you can put them here on YouTube. You can send them to me on Twitter. You can message me on Twitter. You can follow me. You can tag me, whatever. Just love to have your questions. Talk to me if anything you want to do about Milwaukee Brewers, this team, past teams, any question you have on a mailbag Thursday coming up. We'll be dropping that show Friday, but I'll be taping it on Thursday. All right, let's get to some of your tweets here. See what you all had to say. And of course, you know, after a loss, Twitter usually goes nuts. So let's see what we have here. Next time the Brewers play the Cardinals, Dr. Gradijan says, next time the Brewers play the Cardinals in September, the Cardinals will probably be in first place. Burns is no longer a great pitcher in baseball. He is a great pitcher. He pitched, he pitched well enough, 8 innings. He's not going to go out there every week, every start and give you 7 innings of 2-hit baseball. He's not. Okay. 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 8 hits. Yeah, you like the hits a little down, but that's enough to win in my book. Trevor puts in, needs some offensive starts, not castaways from other teams who had career years 2 or 3 seasons ago. Expand the payroll, sign some legit hitting stars. Or they need an NFL salary cap. Well, the salary cap is never going to happen, unfortunately, Trevor, in baseball. Although it should. Trevor says, we need stars. Expand the payroll. Mark writes, 6 guys in the lineup tonight slugging under 400. Seriously, you can't win with that lack of production. You're darn right. You can't win with that kind of production. That's why I'm saying, how are the Brewers in first place at this point with that type of offensive production? Brockett SB says Chase Anderson. Boy, a lot of you guys, some of these I can't read because the swearing is a little much. Let's try this one. Now, a lot of you aren't happy, and I get that. And I swear off the air. Trust me, I do. But the Brewers are going to have to piece this thing together. Trading deadline's a couple of months away. Not that you can't make a move, but what are you going to give up? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do to fortify this team? You needed to do that in the offseason. You banked on the front two guys in your starting rotation and Freddie Peralta winning games for you. You needed all three of those guys to have super years. Okay, Woodruff had 2 solid starts, but he's done for a while until June. Burns has been all right. He's 4-3. And Freddie has been great. So you've had 2 of the 3 guys hold their weight. Now, is Burns pitching at a Cy Young level? No. But he's pitching still like an ace. And I'll take what he's given us. Let's just score some runs. Tampa coming up Friday. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show, which will drop on Friday morning. We'll take, again, we're going to do a mailbag. I want to get your questions. I want to hear what you got to say about the Milwaukee Brewers. Just send it to me on Twitter. Message me any way you want, but that's going to be our show for today. And Thursday's taping, we're going to talk more about the Tampa game and the 3-game set. It's going to do it for me, Chuck Freeman, on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. So long, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.